The teasers dropped, the fandom went silent, and in an instant, the entire K-pop world was turned upside down. When photos of some of the biggest stars on the planet hit the internet, fans didn't see the glittering, flawless visuals they were used to. They saw something completely unrecognizable.
Right, and it basically forced everyone to stop looking at the performance and start looking at the actual human beings underneath it all.
Which brings up a very uncomfortable reality for anyone who consumes this kind of entertainment. You have to ask yourself what you are actually bought into when you support these groups.
Yeah, you really do.
Welcome to StarScope K-Report. Join us as we ride the Hallyu wave, uncovering the biggest K-pop comebacks, shocking industry controversies, and major K-drama updates.
From internet-breaking rumors to historic chart milestones, we dive deep into the world of Korean entertainment.
Today we are doing a massive deep dive into a headline that is basically taking over every forum right now. HYBE's secret treatment of NewJeans. They look unrecognizable.
It's a massive topic.
It really is. So we're looking at a huge stack of sources today. We're talking everything from explosive Korean forum threads to actual, deep academic research. Our mission is to figure out what is actually happening to NewJeans.
Right, because we need to unpack these sudden, shocking physical transformations, the brutal backlash online, and how it all connects to the historically dark underbelly of the idol system.
Exactly. Ultimately, we have to figure out, is the modern fandom destroying idols, or are they the only ones who can actually save them?
Well, to understand the sheer scale of the machine we're dealing with, you really have to look at how quickly a narrative can spin completely out of control.
Oh, instantly.
Literally overnight. We saw 2 media appearances by the members of NewJeans recently, and the contrast between the reactions they received reveals everything about the impossible standards these artists face.
Yeah, this entire debate ignited just a few weeks ago. So June 8th, 2026, Hanni was spotted overseas. She was wearing this super casual outfit, no makeup, just, living her life.
Right, an off-duty look.
Exactly. But then photos go up on the Korean forum Nate Pan, which, if you aren't familiar, it operates a lot like Reddit for domestic Korean netizens, or Knets, as they're known in the fandom. And instead of excitement about, say, a potential comeback, these photos instantly sparked a brutal debate over her perceived weight gain.
The reaction was honestly a stark display of the industry's aesthetic expectations. You had some fans defending her, obviously, noting she looked healthy and it was just a casual photo.
Right.
But the negative comments were incredibly sharp. And they were specifically targeting her status as a product in the industry. They weren't just criticizing her looks, they were criticizing her economic viability.
The comments were completely savage. I mean, some Knets said she looked like get this, a friendly middle-aged lady who sells tteokbokki.
Wow.
Yeah. Tteokbokki being a popular everyday Korean street food, so it was meant to imply she looks like an ordinary older neighborhood vendor, not a global superstar.
That is just so harsh.
People were actually commenting that she looked like she had no intention of making a comeback and that she was losing her demand. It's just wild to me. It's a few candid pictures, and suddenly her entire career viability is being debated as if she committed a crime.
And that standard is completely inflexible. But what makes this situation so complex is what happened next. So we fast forward just over a month to July 19th, 2026. Haerin and Hyein, the youngest members of the group, the Maknaes, were spotted at Incheon Airport.
And the visual contrast to the Hanni situation was jarring. Fans immediately noted that they looked, and I quote, sickly skinny and bone thin.
Right.
And the context of this appearance was highly suspicious to fans. This airport sighting happened right before their anniversary, leading to massive speculation that their agencies, ADOR and HYBE, purposefully leaked their schedule to the press to stir up a comeback narrative.
So the focus quickly shifted entirely away from the music to their physical state. But the reaction was fundamentally different this time around. International fans completely revolted.
Oh, they went off.
They took to X, calling ADOR an evil soul-sucking company, and immediately started organizing a massive boycott.
I really want you to picture the hypocrisy of this ecosystem. It's like these idols are trapped inside a funhouse mirror. The fandom acts as this giant, terrifying microscope. On one hand, a few perceived pounds gained means you're losing demand and failing your job.
Yeah.
But on the other hand, looking undeniably thin sparks evil company boycotts from international fans who accuse the label of starving you. I mean, how does an idol even begin to win against this level of contradictory scrutiny?
The fundamental truth is that they cannot win. Because within the framework of K-pop beauty standards, idols are not just musicians. They are heavily monitored products of consumption.
Wow, just products.
Exactly. The agencies enforce these strict physical expectations to maintain a highly specific, marketable persona. The artists are caught between the relentless demands of corporate management and the completely impossible expectations of the public. You have to remember, they aren't just selling music. They are selling a visual fantasy. And when the fantasy breaks, the consumer revolts.
But this level of visual scrutiny is really just the surface. And wait until you hear what official medical updates revealed about what's actually happening to them behind the scenes.
Yeah, that part is really concerning.
What happens when the body physically buckles under the weight of these expectations? We actually got a grim answer to that back in June 2024. Let's look at a very telling official notice from Weverse, which is essentially HYBE's official fan communication app.
This notice was regarding Hyein's health. The agency revealed that she suffered a microfracture on the top of her foot.
A microfracture. I mean, that is a serious bone injury. Because of this, she was forced into a hiatus of sorts, missing the Japanese promotions for their track Supernatural. But here is the kicker. The agency didn't just let her rest.
No, they didn't.
She was still slated for what they called limited participation at the Bunnies Camp 2024 Tokyo Dome fan event.
This is where the academic research provides some really vital context. Why are these injuries so prevalent across the industry? And why is resting completely, seemingly not an option?
Right, why push a teenager with a broken foot?
To understand why she's still being put on a stage at the Tokyo Dome, we had to trace the K-pop idol system back to its absolute origins.
The research points back to a system formed under a man named John Hiromu Kitagawa in Japan, right? This basically laid the blueprint for what academics call the modern idol system in the pop Pacific.
That's right. Kitagawa's vision was revolutionary at the time, but highly demanding. He wanted to create groups that were singers, dancers, actors, and variety show personalities all at once.
Like a total entertainment package.
Exactly, the total entertainment package. And to achieve that level of multifaceted perfection, the recruiting and training process became incredibly rigid. We're talking about agencies recruiting children as young as 8 to 12 years old.
8 years old. I want you to really think about that. Imagine being 8 years old. You are literally still in elementary school, and you are signing away your childhood to become a trainee.
The reality of that trainee life is brutal. Many trainees end up dropping out of regular school entirely just to dedicate themselves to practice. The academic sources show that a standard workday for a trainee can be up to 15 hours.
15 hours for a kid?
Yes. They are constantly cycling between vocal coaches, intense choreographers, media training, and it pushes deep into the early hours of the morning.
And the real-world consequences of that on a developing human body are terrifying. I mean, the sources mention historical examples of this toll, like Hung Geng from Super Junior.
Right, his case was famous.
After going years, literally years, without a single day off, he suffered from severe kidney problems, chronic gastritis, and a disc herniation.
It leads to a complete physical breakdown. The human body is simply not designed to sustain 15-hour days of high-impact physical exertion without rest, especially when that exertion starts during early childhood development.
But I don't get this. If a star athlete breaks their foot, the team benches them for months. The doctors step in, the management says, you are a multi-million-dollar asset, go heal.
Right, that's sports.
So why would a K-pop agency force an injured idol onto the stage? Aren't they risking their own investment, or do the idols push themselves because the machine literally never stops?
Well, you're thinking of it like a traditional sports team. But a K-pop agency operates much more like a high-risk venture capital firm. This brings us to the financial architecture of the industry, specifically the concept of slave contracts and exploitative training debts.
Oh, wow. So they aren't treating them like athletes. They're treating them like software startups. You dump capital into research and development and expect a return on investment at all costs.
That is the exact economic framework. When an agency houses, feeds, and trains a child for 5 to 7 years before they even debut, all of those costs, the housing, food, vocal coaches, dance instructors, are billed directly to the trainee.
Wait, they build the child?
Yes. This creates a massive invisible debt. It means that for years after their official debut, even when they are famous and touring, they earn virtually nothing. The profits go straight toward paying off that R&D debt.
So they literally cannot afford to stop. They have limited financial freedom and no legal allowances to find work elsewhere because of these exclusive contracts. The pressure from the company is immense, but the internal pressure to finally pay off that debt and just make a living forces them onto the stage, even with a fractured foot.
They are structurally bound to the system. They have to work through the pain just to survive it.
It's unbelievable. Hey, if you love staying updated on the hidden truths behind your favorites, make sure you're subscribed to StarScope K-Report. We've got even bigger scoops ahead. Because honestly, the physical exhaustion and the financial debt is only half the battle.
Yeah, the physical body is trapped by the debt, but the psychological pressure is arguably just as suffocating. What happens when you actually make it to the stage?
You face an audience that demands absolute, unflinching perfection. And we saw exactly how unforgiving this is just last month with Blackpink's Jennie. So on June 8th, 2026, she performed at the Governor's Ball in New York.
A huge stage.
Massive. She debuted a highly anticipated, unreleased song called Little Less. Now, you would think the fandom would be thrilled to get new music, but instead, she was hit with brutal backlash online.
The reaction on social media was incredibly aggressive. It wasn't just disappointment. It was vitriol.
Fans were calling her a useless fraud. They accused her of lip-syncing the entire song, posting these highly scrutinized clips, claiming her microphone was just for decoration. The anger over one single festival performance was staggering.
To really understand why the public reacts this aggressively and, how tightly controlled these stars' lives are meant to be, we have a fascinating contrast in the sources regarding a massive K-drama star.
Oh, I love this contrast. Let's talk about the beloved actress Park Yoon-bin. She recently did a YouTube interview on a show called Hyein. The host asks her what her biggest life rebellion has been.
Right, which you'd expect to be something crazy.
Exactly. And Park Yoon-bin, who, by the way, debuted in the industry when she was 5 years old, confessed that her greatest acts of rebellion were simply going to a karaoke room alone or skipping high school self-study time to go to a movie with a friend.
A secret trip to the movies is considered the absolute pinnacle of rebellion.
It's like they live in a snow globe. The agency curates this pristine, flawless winter wonderland. The fans buy the globe, put it on their shelf, and stare at the perfect little figure inside. But the moment the idol tries to step outside of that glass-like going to a movie alone or supposedly using a backing track at a festival or dating, the fans feel like the product they bought is defective. Why do fans feel so entitled to absolute perfection?
Because that entitlement is entirely manufactured by the industry itself. We're talking about the mechanics of parasocial relationships.
Right.
In K-entertainment, these aren't accidental dynamics. Companies explicitly mandate idols to post on daily messaging apps. They send notifications that translate as, "I missed you today," or "I thought of you when I eat this." It creates an engineered intimacy. They market these idols to create one-sided romantic or deeply friendly attachments.
It's not just, I like their music. The fan is conditioned to feel, they are my best friend, they are my boyfriend, they belong to me.
Exactly. The agencies sell an illusion of control and connection. Think about your best friend in real life. If they lied to you, you would be deeply hurt. The companies monetize that exact emotional response.
Wow.
So when an idol deviates from their assigned persona, whether that's by lip-syncing when they're supposed to be the perfect performer, or gaining weight, or getting a partner, the audience doesn't just feel disappointed as consumers. They feel personally betrayed.
Because the snow globe shattered. The emotional contract they paid for was broken. The vitriol against Jennie or the comments about Hanni's weight aren't just critiques of their art. They are deeply personal reactions to a perceived breach of that parasocial relationship.
But here is where the story takes a massive turn. And wait till you hear this, because the people buying the snow globes are starting to realize they actually own the glass.
Yes. Let's bring the narrative back to the NewJeans boycott we mentioned earlier. The international fans calling ADOR an evil, soul-sucking company. This represents a major paradigm shift in K-pop. The fans, who've historically been just consumers and harsh critics, are now weaponizing their power against the agencies.
The academic research from BYU highlights this beautifully. The modern internet has completely empowered and evolved fan bases. In the early days of the industry, fans were largely unaware of the internal problems, the trainee debt, or the grueling hours. But today, information moves instantly and fans are highly organized.
They aren't just streaming music videos and buying albums for a comeback anymore. Fans are literally sharing complex legal documents online.
Yeah, it's wild.
They are tracking extreme schedules, flight by flight, to prove agencies are overworking their artists, and they are uniting globally across language barriers to hold these massive corporate entities accountable.
And what's crucial is that this fan advocacy is actually working. The research notes that within the last decade, there has been a sudden, noticeable jump in successful lawsuits filed by idols against restrictive slave contracts.
Like the famous cases involving TS Entertainment, idols are actually fighting back in court, and they are winning because they know they have the public backing them.
Corporate behavior only changes when the bottom line is threatened. Companies are now highly responsive to fan concerns because the consumer base has realized the immense financial power they wield. If a global fandom decides to boycott your merchandise or trend a hashtag demanding better treatment for an artist, the agency's stock price literally feels the impact. They have to listen.
And we've seen the positive side of this organized fandom power extend beyond just industry infighting. The sources highlight how BTS's ARMY matched a $1 million donation to the Black Lives Matter movement. That is staggering grassroots mobilization.
It really is.
It proves that the fandom is no longer just a passive audience. They are an active, highly organized socio-political force.
They've realized they hold the leverage. The industry needs the fans more than the fans need the industry.
But here is what I keep getting stuck on. If fans hold the ultimate power to shut down companies and force contract changes, are they the ultimate protectors of their bias, their absolute favorite member? Or are they inadvertently adding to the pressure cooker by constantly monitoring their every move?
That's the big question.
I mean, tracking an idol's weight loss to prove a company is evil still involves obsessing over a teenager's body. Aren't we just using the master's tools to fight the master?
That is the ultimate paradox of modern K-pop. The fans are using the very tools of surveillance, obsession, and parasocial entitlement that the industry taught them, but they're aiming them back at the executives.
Right.
It is a messy, complicated evolution. While the K-pop industry remains fundamentally exploitative in many of its foundational practices, like that trainee debt we talked about, the active involvement of fans is undeniably forcing a slow but vital evolution toward better rights, fairer contracts, and more physical freedoms for the idols. They are the pressure cooker, yes, but they're also becoming the only functional release valve.
It is a massive structural shift, and it leaves us with a lingering question to mull over. If fan advocacy is the key to dismantling slave contracts and saving idols from exhaustion, what happens when domestic K-nets and international fans completely disagree on what is actually best for the idol?
Like we saw with NewJeans.
Just like we saw with the wildly divided reactions to Hanni's appearance versus Haerin and Hyein's airport photos. When the fandom itself is split down the middle on what constitutes protection, who actually gets to decide an idol's future?
That is the multi-million-dollar question the industry is going to have to answer very soon because the fans aren't going anywhere.
You've been listening to StarScope K-Report, where Eric and Minji bring you the stories shaping K-pop, K-dramas, and the global Hallyu wave. Thanks for tuning in, and don't forget to subscribe for more stories that keep the stars shining.